Hello everybody, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening depending on where you are in this amazing world. My name is Donovan Jolly, and welcome everybody once again for another amazing video of DIY investing. I have been going through analyzing as many different charts as I possibly can because I have found a bottom formation that I don't see anybody else talking about. This bottom formation shows that the bottom is in for altcoins, and it also shows that we will be breaking out very soon. It's very important that when we go through analyzing altcoins, we take a look at prior cycles so that we can see where we're at in the current one as we stand today. Today I'm going to be going through sharing you guys some amazing analysis that's going to perfectly explain where altcoins are headed in an easy to understand way that's going to make sure that you guys are here profiting alongside with me and are ready to catch this next major impulse heading in altcoins. If you're new and just finding this channel, always remember to do me a favor by leaving a like, comment, and subscribing to this channel for more updates. Make sure that you guys click that notification bell so you don't miss out on any new videos like the one provided for you here. Remember guys, I also have an amazing, thriving Discord community with over 7,500 members. This thing is growing faster than most other Discord communities out there, and I've got a lot of really cool people on board with this. So if you guys want access to this, it's totally free for anybody that wants to join. All you gotta do is click in the description of this video, and there you're going to find the invitation link. Now, on the Discord, I also offer some of my more exclusive content like the video course and signals. The video course is 20 educational videos that teach you guys all of my strategies. It's a really solid course that's going to teach you guys how to profit inside of this market. And then the signals are a way for you guys just to copy my long-term portfolio as well as any shorter-term trades that I'm taking. It's a really good way for you guys to profit alongside with me if you maybe don't care as much about learning all of the technical skills required. So if you guys want access, click in the description of this video. There you're going to find the invitation link. Once you guys have access, shoot me a message and I'll get back to you with all of the information needed and any questions that you may have. Now before we jump into the video, I wanted to quickly say that I will be doing some Bitcoin analysis at the end of this video. So I'm going to go through, do the altcoin analysis first, and then I'm going to finish up with the Bitcoin analysis at the end. So if you guys want to watch the Bitcoin analysis, make sure that you guys stay to the end of this video so that you don't miss it. Alright guys, with all that being said, let's jump right in the video today. Alrighty guys, now here we are taking a look at Ethereum to start this off. I wanted to talk about a couple things first before we jump into any analysis. I've gone through and I found a bottom formation that's actually the very first Bitcoin cycle that we ever had. This was the Bitcoin cycle back in 2015 where we went from about $1,150, crashed all the way down to $150, and then we just kind of consolidated sideways between $150 and $200 for a long period of time actually. And this was a bottom formation that I'm sure a lot of people were very scared about when it actually happened. There was a huge opportunity to get stopped out, and it was also just really choppy and volatile to where a lot of people ended up losing out and not making any money. But for me, I'm a long-term investor in this stuff, and that's what I try and teach back to you guys. And so for me guys, with all of this choppy action that we've been seeing throughout this entirety of this correction, you know, since 2019 we've just been going sideways. This has been a really choppy time, and if you guys weren't really focused on that long-term prospect, there was a good opportunity that you guys did get chopped up, and it ended up being very discouraging. And so with Ethereum today, I've made the comparison that this chart reminds me a lot of 2015 Bitcoin, and you know, the fundamentals are very similar. Obviously Ethereum is vastly different from Bitcoin, but nonetheless Ethereum follows Bitcoin, and Ethereum's been the driver of value in the cryptocurrency market just aside from Bitcoin. It's number 2. It's been the leading number crypto behind Bitcoin, and I expect that that trend is going to continue to play out. Now, what I want to go through here, guys, I actually wanted to take the original Bitcoin cycle, and I wanted to share with you guys some pretty cool correlations here. Now, we're going to be looking at Ethereum, and then I've got a couple other altcoins that I want to share with you. These are a couple altcoins that I haven't talked about on the channel, so make sure that you guys stay through this analysis because these are really good setups that I think are going to be popping off very soon. Now, I know that I've talked about this, which is why I'm not going to dive too much into detail with this, but really, guys, this is insane to me because this is identical. There's no different here. Now, I know I've showed you guys the silver fractal. I know I've shared with you guys analysis with the other markets like the the S&P 500, and you know, all of the gold market cycles as well. This is something that's so important that we talk about now, because really what we're seeing across all of the altcoins is a universal bottom formation that has repeated amongst all kinds of different cycles. And it doesn't have to be 100% exact, but we are seeing almost exact correlations, which makes our jobs as investors way easier. And that's why I love cryptocurrency, guys. And I've heard a lot of older boomer traders that have been around trading, 40 plus years. They've talked about the fact that cryptocurrency market cycles and the charts are actually easier to trade. And I don't know if that's actually true, because these are way volatile. If you don't have a really good plan in place, you're going to get chopped up. But nonetheless, guys, what we're seeing and what I've often been told is, no two cycles are ever going to behave exactly the same, and that is true. However, they rhyme, and with cryptocurrency, they rhyme and almost do look exact. So let's go through here. Now, in Ethereum, we bottomed down here in 2018, right at the new year at about 80, 85 bucks, somewhere right around there. And, in Bitcoin, we ended up bottoming here at about, $150. So this was the final capitulation in both cycles. And then we started the little short-term relief rally. And this is where it gets interesting, guys, because this and Ethereum look identical. So this is capitulation. We get our first impulse and then correct back down, find some short-term support, impulse, correct back down. And then this is really where we just start kind of consolidating and getting more parabolic on that trend. Now, the difference between Ethereum and Bitcoin is Ethereum got more parabolic during this initial corrective phase, whereas Bitcoin kind of just came back up to this high and then started correcting down, which in Ethereum's sense would have been about right here. But the thing is, guys, Ethereum got a little bit more impulsive, but we still followed the same correlations here. We break out, get a short-term correction here, same thing happens here, and then we get the cycle high right there and right here. Now, in Bitcoin, this is where we kind of this is where we had a short-term correction that took us back down to about 200 bucks, somewhere right around that range. And we just kind of came in between the halfway point of the cycle high and the cycle low, which was about right here. And this is the exact same thing what happened to Ethereum. We kind of consolidated, corrected back down. Even the bottom structure that you see here is almost identically. You see this correction, you get this little W pattern, and then that falls to the $200 level. Same thing happened here in Ethereum. This little W, and then we fall to the midway point of the cycle low and high. And then we end up consolidating, finding one more short-term low here. And then we make our bull trap. Now, this is where Bitcoin went back to retest the previous resistance. Everybody thought it was going to break out, and then we rejected and ended up selling off, made a lower high here. Let's fix that. Made a lower high, and then went to our next capitulation. Same thing happened here in Ethereum. Lower high, capitulation. And from this point, guys, we can see that after this, Bitcoin broke out. Now, Ethereum itself is still kind of consolidating. In my opinion, there's a couple scenarios that can happen here. We can see with Bitcoin, we found the lows, and then we kind of impulsed, and then we corrected back down, and then we went up, right? And that's kind of the way that cycle went. Now, in Ethereum, we haven't really rounded out, but we've just kind of been impulsing up here. Now, we could be on a couple different scenarios. Either this could be a short-term correction that takes us back down to, about 160 bucks before we kind of round out here and then go up. Or, maybe this already was the correction and then we just keep kind of going up from here. All of these are scenarios that we have to watch for. Regardless, I do not care because, like I said, I'm a longer-term investor into this stuff. Whether we have a short-term correction back down to 160 or whether we don't, it literally doesn't matter. It's apples and oranges to me. I've just been investing this entire correction. I've accumulated a significant portion of my portfolio in Ethereum. Ethereum's really my second biggest position behind Bitcoin, and they're both almost identical at that point. But nonetheless, this is the reason why I'm so bullish on Ethereum. We're seeing the exact same bottom structure that we saw with Bitcoin back in the day, only with Ethereum, it looks even more impulsive. And not only that, this consolidation in Bitcoin was 280 days, and this one in Ethereum is over 500 days. So you guys know how big of an impulse Bitcoin made. That's why I'm kind of leaning towards the scenario where Ethereum, whether we correct back down, whether we correct back down to 160 and then go up, either way, I'm expecting this next impulse to take us to about 800 bucks. And so with Ethereum, that would take us, $800 would be about right here approximately. And so that's kind of what I'm going to be watching for this next impulse. Realistically, I don't see another resistance until we get up here. And you know, guys, we could even climb up to, you know, $900 to $1,000 in this next impulse. I don't know how crazy it's going to get. That's why you got to do your due diligence by investing when everything is the most fearful. I can honestly not believe that we've been given this great of an opportunity to accumulate Ethereum at these levels. It is mind-blowing. And guys, I'm thankful. I'm very thankful, because when Bitcoin went from $3,200 to $14K, I will be completely honest, I did not buy as much as I wish I could have in that time. And when Bitcoin just started leaving everybody behind, it made me a little bit insecure that, you know, maybe I won't have a good time I won't have a good opportunity to accumulate cheap altcoins. Maybe Bitcoin will just start leaving us behind and I won't have that opportunity to accumulate very much of it. And, you know, guys, Ethereum went sideways for so long, and I'm just blessed for that. And, you know, with Bitcoin went 72% from 14K. So, you know, we've been given an amazing opportunity that we need to be taking advantage of nonetheless. Now, this is really what takes me to the next part. So there's two different bottom formations that we see here. There's the Bitcoin cycle that looks just like, you know, Ethereum today. And then we have the DigiByte cycle, where if we take this and we come and copy it over here, you guys are going to start to understand a couple different bottom formations that I've been paying attention to and have been posting in signals inside of my Discord, because I think that we have a really good opportunity of timing a lot of trades that can really pop off, you know, 100, 200% over the next couple months. Now, if we take a look at DigiByte, let's actually just look at the chart here for a second. Let's look here, 3-day. So in DigiByte, obviously, DigiByte's really been pumping hard. We've seen that over the last couple weeks. And it's been really outpacing the majority of the market. Now, what I've noticed here is the bottom formation that happened. So basically from this point is the point that we're looking at. And we can see that this bottom formation looks identical to a lot of other altcoins out there. And now we're going to go take a look at Poondx, or Poondx. I don't know how you pronounce it. Nonetheless, we're going to go take a look at it. And we're going to go through here and really start to analyze the similarities in market structure. Now, let's kind of drag it up here for a second. Alrighty, guys. Now we're going to compare the market structure, because these are two different bottom formations. They're showing a strong resemblance of the 2015 market structure bottom, and they're also showing a strong resemblance of what happened to just barely in DigiByte. Basically, we find our primary lows, we kind of round out, we find a short-term bottom, and then we start to bounce, and then we get rejected. And now, instead of holding support, we end up just falling lower. We make lower lows. We kind of find the short-term rounding that we see here. And this is kind of where I expected the bottom to be in a lot of altcoins. And then when they started impulsing, I thought that, you know, maybe this could have been the bottom. But then what happened was we ended up just getting rejected. And then we fell to one more new low. Now in DigiByte after this new low pumped super, super hard. And DigiByte ended up pumping well past the previous market structure resistance up here. And, you know, it's now acting as support. And so with DigiByte, we're seeing this exact same pattern playing out in a multitude of different altcoins. And for example, you know, Poondx. This is a really cool one that I actually started buying. We posted signals for this down in here. And that's where we started actually investing into this. And so we are at a decent amount of profit because it has pumped. And so this is a really big reason why you guys should check out the signals. You guys can copy all of my analysis, follow the trades that I'm taking, because a lot of our trades are profitable. And especially recently with all these altcoins popping off, it's been a really encouraging sign to see. Now, with that being said, DigiByte really pumped, and we went clear above this resistance. Now, I'm not saying that all of them are going to do that, because this drop and this impulse to take it all the way back up here will be pretty solid. I mean, from where we're basically at today, just to come up here is about 7x, and so that's not as realistic. But nonetheless, guys, we don't know how crazy these markets are going to behave. Maybe we do see an impulse like DigiByte, because at the end of the day, when the bear market is over and the dust is settled and these things are starting their new bull trends, they're going to go well above and beyond these all-time high marks. And it doesn't matter how crazy they seem right now, you know, when these things start impulsing, they happen so fast, And right now, with how low the markets have gone, I know it just seems impossible that we're ever going to see new all-time highs again. A lot of people are writing it off. But nonetheless, I expect this next bull run to be the biggest one in history. More money is going to be flooding into these cryptocurrencies than ever before. And so even though they're seemingly very, very far down in their cycles and they don't look like they'll ever come back up again, I'm believing that they will. And right now, with how low these are, I think that this is capitulation. This was the last sell-off. We're just kind of going sideways here. And based off of D.I.Y, all of them are showing roughly the same sort of market structure here. They all look pretty much the same. You know, we consolidate at this level here. We fall to new lows. We make one more sharp stab into new lows, and then we bounce back on the upside. This is the exact same thing that's happening today in Poon.x. We can see we had this market structure. We sell off to new lows, get our final capitulation, and now, in my opinion, we're going to start seeing the breakouts coming very soon. Now, this is what takes me to the next part. This is Funfair. Now, Funfair is kind of a hybrid between the Bitcoin cycle as well as the D.I.Y cycle. Both of them look pretty similar. Now, let's go take a look at the Bitcoin cycle. And let's drag it over Funfair so that we can kind of take a look here and analyze the two cycles. Because this one is really cool, guys. This is what makes me so excited about crypto right now, is because we're seeing exact identical market cycles to prior cycles that have played out and meant very profitable returns if you would have bought at any of those levels. Now, we see the same thing happen in Funfair. We get the bottom. This is capitulation. You know, we start to round out. Eventually, we get rejected up here. Then we fall to kind of this midway point. Now, this is where it gets a little bit different. In Funfair, we actually made new lows. In Bitcoin, we kind of stopped in between this point here. But nonetheless, it's still the same market structure. There is still a very big similarity between these two, which is why I often say market cycles aren't meant to be 100% exact, but they oftentimes rhyme. And this is exactly the same that we're seeing here. Reject, and then we fall to capitulation. Even the bottom formation that we're seeing here between the two cycles looks identical. Same thing happened in Bitcoin. Get a short-term relief, kind of round out, and then break up. Same thing is happening in Funfair today. Round out, and we just barely started going back up again. This is a pattern that you're going to be able to find across all of the cryptocurrency markets. It doesn't matter which one it is. You're going to be able to take this pattern, you're going to be able to copy it over the rest of the charts, and you're going to start to see how the market structure looks so similar. And guys, altcoins follow Bitcoin, so it only makes sense that they're going to follow the last Bitcoin cycle that we just had. I mean, it makes sense to me. I don't see why it's so complicated. And what we're seeing right now is a lot of market structure that looks very similar. And because of this, I am more bullish than ever. I think that the bottom is in. I've said that since 2019, even though altcoins kind of kept going down lower. Bitcoin didn't. Bitcoin's made a higher high. Ethereum's made a higher high technically. And I just think that there's more reason to be bullish right now because of the similarities that we're seeing here. Now, this is what takes me to the next one on the list. This is the last one that we're going to talk about today. This is arguably my favorite one. I posted signals for this guy back down in here, I believe. It was either here or here. I can't remember. One of the two. Either way, we are entered into this position and in profit. I really do like the market structure that we're seeing here because this one, out of all of them, looks more identical in a lot of different ways. And in fact, this one even looks more bullish to some degree because we've made a higher high. Now, this is so amazing that we can see these patterns being translated across all time frames and across altcoin cycles that are happening years down the line from what happened back in 2015. But the same thing happens. Capitulation, we start to round out, get rejected at resistance, we fall to the midpoint. In altcoins, some of them went for a lower low, some of them didn't. You know, we impulse back up to the resistance, we get rejected again, and then we come back down for capitulation. The only real difference in Icon today is the fact that, you know, Bitcoin went for a low and ended up retesting all the way down here. Icon retested the same spots, but it didn't make a new low like Bitcoin did. But the market structure is still one and the same. And this is what we're going to be seeing on the way up, is a big breakout. And that's why I think that we should all be paying a lot of attention to these altcoins right now. Because really, we just have a good opportunity for accumulation. I don't know when the heck these things are going to break out by any means. But what we can say is that when these things break out, it's going to happen quickly. And it's going to be pretty parabolic. Now, where could we expect to see this break out to? I would say that we're going to go to at least about this level here at about $1.85. I'd say that we'd at least hit this. before having a correction. Maybe we, impulse all the way up to this level here. And then we get our short-term correction back down. And then we keep going up in that cycle, because this is kind of what I'm watching for. Now, who knows? Maybe we could go for an even bigger impulse, considering that this was a 280-day accumulation in Bitcoin, and this is a 500-plus day accumulation in these alts. And so we could see something much bigger. We could see something along the lines of this, where we actually impulse all the way up to this resistance up here, which would be about $4.85. It's hard to say exactly how crazy they're going to get. But what we do know is the longer the accumulation, the bigger the expansion. And these altcoins have accumulated about twice the length of time that this Bitcoin cycle did. And for that, I'm expecting a bigger impulse on the way up. And it's going to leave a lot of people behind. I'm sure a lot of people are doubting this. A lot of people are starting to second guess themselves. They've given up on crypto. They've seen this long bear market. They've seen markets not do anything for so long. They're out of the market, but the people that are still here today are going to set themselves up to make a life-changing amount of money. Now, this is analysis that I had for the altcoins here. Now, let's quickly jump into Bitcoin and talk about some things as far as that goes. All right, let's dive into a shorter time frame with this one. Realistically, to me, we're at a pretty important point in market structure, whether we're going to go for lows or whether we're going to kind of bottom where we're at. To me, I'm still holding that this is a triangle correction. Whether you want to call it an ascending triangle or a symmetrical triangle, it literally doesn't matter. Apples to oranges, once again, they both point to the same direction. But nonetheless, this is kind of what I've been analyzing. An A, B, C, D, and E. It's most likely that if we bounce off this C, we're going to break out of the D. However, it's not always guaranteed. We could come up here and then come back down again. Nonetheless, it doesn't change my trading plan. Now, what I wanted to say with this is the fact that, we are back down on the C wave, but this doesn't seem super confident to me. It's not a very big confidence builder. What this looks like is a 1, 3, and then we're working on the 5 wave. Now, in this 5 wave, we've had subwaves of 1, subwaves of 3, and in my opinion, we still need one more. And for me, that actually indicates that we're going to temporarily pierce below the support level of the symmetrical triangle, and it's going to take us to about $8,500, which would also be about the support of right here, approximately. So that's kind of what I'm going to be watching out for with Bitcoin. I still think that we're going to get, one more little short-term impulse that's going to temporarily pierce below the support level. But if we do that, I want to see a quick reaction back up before we keep going up to that D wave, or back up to the resistance of that move. That's what I want to see happen inside of Bitcoin, because if not, then we're going to be expecting to see more downside. Let's say that this triangle fails. Let's say that we come back down, we drop to 83 or something, we come back up to retest it. At this point, I'd be looking for shorts. At that point where we get the retest and it's now acting as resistance, this is the point that I would short, and I would be watching for a sizable impulse back down to about 7,400, about right there. That's what I'm going to be watching out for with this specific consolidation that we see. But nonetheless, we are still maintaining bullish support. I don't see the big reason to get super shaken out. Obviously, there's the argument that, oh, well, we've sold through this trend line, which, yeah, we have. That's another thing to be aware of. But the thing with trend lines, guys, I don't focus a whole lot on trend lines because trend lines are broken time and time again. And that's just the way it works. I mean, the same thing would have happened back in this Bitcoin impulse up here. I remember a lot of people were watching this specific trend line right here. And then you guys see that we broke it only to go up for another impulse. And so trend lines do this all the time. And it's not the end of the world if we break it, which we already have. But nonetheless, it's the most important thing if we reject off of this symmetrical triangle resistance. If this support starts acting as resistance, I'm going to be shorting the market back down to 74. And it is possible that we could go even lower than that. Although I think it's more unlikely at this point, it is still possible. Realistically, to me, the next two levels that I'd watch for, if in fact we start to sell lower, 6,400 and 7,400, about right there. This range in between those two levels, that's what I would watch for. But nonetheless, I would short to 74. I would start to take spot bids right here at 74. And then if we went any lower, I would continue to add. But I think it's less likely that we'd actually sell and go all the way back down to 64. But that's just my personal trading plan. Now, what we're seeing here, once again, we're going to take a look at the Bitcoin dominance. because in my opinion, this is something that is probably the most important thing we need to be taking a look at. Now, on a monthly time frame, we have some pretty bearish signals coming out. We have declining volume and we have inclining price. So price has been inclining, or dominance has been inclining since February 1st, or actually January of 2018. And we've just kept going up from that point. But the fact is, guys, this is bearish market structure. We have short-term resistance right here. This was the previous support. We sold through that. And what happened recently, guys, do you see this big ugly wick right here? This big ugly wick. That is called a hanging man. Basically what it's supposed to resemble is this little candle body is supposed to be the head, and this wick up here is the noose. So he's basically hanging. So imagine this is his head. This is his little legs. And he's hanging right here. So this is the noose. This is called a hanging man candlestick formation. And this is oftentimes what you see at the terminal end of a trend. So for an example, we can see these big wicks. There's a wick right here. You know, we can see one right here, one right here. Those are examples of correctional patterns. And so it shows a seller, or it shows buyer exhaustion. So buyers were going up, but the sellers have become too great and they've made a giant wick out of this. That shows massive buyer exhaustion. The fact is, the top of the wick came all the way back to retest the previous support, which is now acting as resistance. And so, in my opinion, with this sort of weakness that we're seeing in the Bitcoin dominance, this is going to set the way for the altcoins. And we can see that that happened here. We can see that we have a big bearish engulfing candle. It completely engulfed the last green candle. And on top of that, we have a giant wick on the upside. That is a very, very bearish looking setup, in my opinion. We're seeing altcoins starting to show strength right now, which is why I wanted to share with you guys the bottom formations that we're seeing here. It's because these bottom formations are setting up for a lot of profit. And they look identical to prior cycles that we've had in the past. Whether you want to call it the gold fractal, the silver fractal, the 2015 Bitcoin bottom, it doesn't matter. They're all kind of one and the same. And they all point to the same thing that's happening. Right now, altcoins are bottoming. Right now, Bitcoin is bottoming. Bitcoin's bottomed since 2019, but altcoins have kind of had their slow accumulation to get to that point. But nonetheless, they're all going to the same direction. I'm bullish on Bitcoin. Obviously, we can go a little bit lower, but my primary is going to stay the same. I'm still going to watch for the support to hold here. If we don't hold, then obviously, you guys know my next two targets, 74 to 64, somewhere in that $1,000 range. But this is still bullish market structure, and I'm going to continue to play my hands like that because I personally believe that, you know, this major resistance here at 10.5 is going to be broken, and this is going to be the contracting pattern that ends up breaking it, right? And then that's going to set us up for this next major move to eventually all-time highs. So anyways, guys, this is the analysis I had for you. I'm going to go through, give you guys a ton of detail, give you guys some good coins that I've been watching for. I've posted signals for my Discord. I want to talk about Bitcoin, talk about some things, levels that I'm watching for. Am I still bullish? Yes. Is there potential for a bearish downside? Always. Which is why you need to plan ahead, understand that there is always room for downside, and make sure you're not getting too over leveraged right now. But with all that being said, guys, if you'd like access to the video course or signals, join the Discord server by clicking in the description of this video. There you're going to find the invitation link on the Discord server and the video course and signals. The video course is 20 educational videos that teach you guys all of the strategies that I use to profit inside of these markets, to day trade, to invest, all of the above indicators. I go through everything and teach it to you guys in a 20-part series. It's going to really help you guys be profitable. It's something that I wish I had back when I first got into cryptocurrency because it literally would have saved me years worth of learning, education, and losing money in the process. And so, guys, with the signals, it's a really good way to copy my portfolio. You'll know exactly what my long-term portfolio is, as well as any margin trades, as well as any short-term trades that I take on top of that. They're all going to be here for you guys to follow along with. Just join in the Discord, shoot me a message, and I'll get back to you as soon as possible. But with all that being said, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. And with all that being said, I'll catch you in the next video. As always, peace out.